Sorry about that. I lost my recording, so hopefully we'll make it through. We only got like 5 more things. All right. So endangered species uh, are endangered species are a focus of conservation efforts. All right. So the recent battle took over place, and federal officials of cattle and oil and gas drillers and potential listings of greater sage grouse as endangered. So instead of offering a carrot or a stick, what happened is that farmers volunteer campaign was waged to lessen the impact on the rough grouse. So it was the volunteers, people that own the land, decided that they were going to protect it, and which are federal officials deemed adequate to conserve the species. So no one really had to do anything. Just, the individuals that stood up and actually said, "Hey, we are going to stand up and give the rough grouse or the sage grouse here their habitat back." And that would stabilize the population. So the federal government didn't do anything. But here in Pennsylvania, we have another animal which is called the rough grouse. All right, not the sage grouse, but the rough grouse. And believe it or not, the rough grouse is our state bird here in Pennsylvania. It is. It's an amazing little tiny bird, and just like kind of like the sage grouse, it lives on the ground. And what happened here in Pennsylvania is that we grow hay for horses and stuff like that, and we cut that hay. And when we go and cut that hay to give to the um, farmers to take to market, that is actually when the rough grouse are actually nesting, and it was damaging the population size of the rough grouse, our state bird. And we can't let that happen, can we? We can't, we don't want the bald eagle to go extinct, so we don't also want the rough grouse to go extinct because that was taking away its habitat and also harming, cutting off some heads of some rough grouse, okay? Or just opening them up so the hawk can swoop down and find it, and so can snake easier, I guess, too. I guess. So what we did here in Pennsylvania is we decided to pay the farmers. We took some more tax money. We decided as a society we were going to take some more tax money, and we were going to pay some farmers to not cut their grass for the first time. All right, they usually get 2 cuttings per year. So the first cut, we were going to say don't cut it and just wait until the second cut. And that's when you can sell your hay or bundle it up or whatever. And that meant that they would lose some money, right? So we decided, hey, whatever a bale of hay is, we're going to give you $25 a bale, regular market price or whatever, just don't cut it, and here's that compensation. And some people had the decision whether they take the money from the government and say, hey, I'm going to take this money and know that I'm going to be paid, or risking maybe the market price will be higher next, when it comes to time to cut, right? They made that decision, and lo and behold, that's what we decided to do. We gave them a little bit of carrot, some incentive. All right, here was a volunteer program, and there's also some other things that society can work out. In 1973, the Conservation of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora bans the international transportation of parts and bodies. So this is actually an international treaty that we have signed. All right, so now we have given up our national sovereignty when it comes to these issues. All right, what we signed in that treaty. Okay, now we can be in trouble. This is not the UN. All right, this is a totally different organization. All right, this is like a law saying yes, we're going to abide by this all over the place, just like the nuclear arms treaties and the Iran treaty we used to have with Iran. We still have it. No, we don't. I think Trump already got rid of it. But that was a treaty signed by other countries. So our signatures on these things, and this is a law of the land. The Convention of Biological Diversity has a treaty that provides funding and incentives for conservation in developing countries. All right, so successes include promoting ecotourism, the Serengeti and national parks, and all this. So what this is Convention of Biological Diversity. It's part of these treaties, and countries give money into it to try to save some of the biodiversity around the world in developing countries. And they help fund programs to start the ecotourism in the Serengeti. All right, they they give money to promote sustainable crops like shade coffee grown in the South America, right? And discourage the use of pesticides and intensive farming. So, it's a little bit of an organization. Doesn't really have too much power per se, all right? But it is funds given by different nations and people so that we can actually help these countries become better and more sustainable, right? There's also we do some captive breeding sometimes and do the reintroduction and cloning. All right, so zoos and botanical gardens have become centers of captivity and breeding with endangered individuals such as black rhinos. All right, so we can get them back up, and that's all part of Africa. 65 plants and animal species are now exist only in captivity. So we have 65 plants and animal species. All right, I don't know exactly how many are plants and how many are animals that now only exist in pens. Okay, in captivity. The California condor was a victim of hunting that led and lead shot poisoning, and it only had 22 individuals in 1982. All right, very small population that could not survive in the wild. So captive breeding became the only way to really save these. And they have released over 268 condors to the wild, and there's still about 167 still in captivity. But lead shot poisoning is still a problem, although California has banned all lead shot in 2019. But like I said, we can't get rid of lead, and what we're going to do, go pick up all this lead shot that we put out there. It's going to take a while to work through the ecosystem. All right. But you can see the condors in captivity and condors in the wild. So the wild is definitely, we started all these from, 500, right, all the way down to, under 100 to that 22 individuals, okay? And slowly but surely have been building it up and building it up. So it takes time. But it is a success story so far. New idea is to take the DNA from endangered species and inserting it in egg or relative species and try to do this. This is, experimental. And we need to, judge it ethically. Do we have we might have the science to do this, but do we have the right to bring back this species or, create a totally new one? Are we the ones that are supposed to do this? And that's a conversation we need to have as a society. And you can follow wherever you want. I don't know. I don't know why we need to bring some of these back, but maybe we do. All right. I take it on a species by species basis. I guess that would be me. I don't want to put too much time into that. But it's something that there are some information. Make a nice little research topic someday if you want to do a paper on, for sociology or something like that. The protection of umbrella species helps to protect many other species. So a lot of times we talk about, just helping one individual. But we have found out when we protect an umbrella species who has a huge range, right? That helps out the ecosystem overall a lot better. All right, so we have a lot more ability to, the ecosystem, the biome kind of is well managed. All right, because that umbrella species goes all over the place, and we need to manage a lot of different areas for them. All right. So an umbrella species uses a lot of area. Now, wildebeest and Serengeti is an example and have a huge range. Right, and protecting them results in the protection of many other species as well. Okay, so the environmental organization uses large charismatic vertebrates as flagship species. Right, so flagship species for the United States is the bald eagle. We got the ruffed grouse for a state bird here in Pennsylvania, if you ever knew that. All right. They got the polar bear for climate change, right? Worldwide Wildlife Fund has the giant panda, right? So those flagship species give us those warm little fuzzies. So biodiversity hotspots in the regions support a large number of species that are found nowhere else. Right? So they are defined as harboring at least 115 endemic plant species and have already lost 70% of the habitat area. You can see these little areas right here. That's where the CI, the Wild Pacific West, where ET hung out, right, and the sea otters and stuff. Uh, Central America and South Africa or South America, different hotspots, and you know the where we want to live as humans too, right? So this is where a lot of times you'll find that most of the biggest populations are going to be in these biodiverse genetic hotspots, these biodiverse hotspots, right? Parks and preserves are protected areas that seek to maintain habitats and ecological services. May still be affected by illegal logging and poaching and resources, right? So we may have these parks and preserves all over the world, but you might still see some stuff going on, right? Especially in most of the developed countries, because there's still a lot of people that need to feed themselves. And they go and to find some money, they do the illegal poaching or resource extraction. But sometimes still here in the United States too, this stuff still happens. Okay, areas of the ocean are also being to be set aside for similar reasons. So we have closed a lot of our fisheries out there. Like I said, it's a wonderful case study about sustainability and trying to find models of using natural resource um, to try to keep them alive so we can have the best of the best. We can still have jobs and still have fish. Ecosystems can also be restored and reestablished. The natural process, right? So we need to, reestablish some of these ecosystems. I already talked about that in Florida, how they're trying to um, reinstate some of the wetlands and spread them around. Okay, the U.S. restoration efforts have focused on the uh, Illinois prairies, the Florida Everglades, and the southern long pine forests. So the southern eastern pine forests. This is where the pine borer beetle's going at, and I talk about all the time. Right? I've already talked about the Everglades, and I think I brought up the prairies a little bit where they had doing some of the most planting a lot of the native plants there too. All right, in the prairies. Okay, we're trying to restore those from the original places. All right. And there's also community-based conservation, which is growing. So in the past years, conservationists have developed countries would work to preserve ecosystems while neglecting the needs of the local people. All right, so community-based conservation actively engages the local people, like with the Maasai. All right, and that's what we have to do. If we're going to do some ecotourism and stop all that poaching and try to stop the illegal harvesting or logging and things like that, we need to have those local people that are into those things have a new job. Right, they need to take pride and actually still be able to make an income. Okay, so we call this community-based conservation. They become the caretakers of the land, and a lot of native, cultures have that already enshrined in their beliefs. Right, so the Maasai have no problems with this community-based conservation because that's the way they kind of, grew up and already have it installed in them. All right, to take care and try to help out. But when you're hungry and you know hungry and there's a lot of pressure on you, you're going to do a lot of different things. So this approach will be vital to preserve biodiversity and face growing future human populations. So I definitely believe that this community-based conservation is one of the best ways to go because it brings you back to Mother Nature. All right, and a lot of those generations are together. So sorry about the mishap with the microphone earlier. I hope everybody understands that I'm new at this and I don't have the best equipment, to tell you the truth. Maybe someday I'll have a big, huge YouTube studio. All right. All right. We'll see you guys. Thanks.